What's the matter with weed?
The 15th round of the 2003 Champ Car season took place in the original Stonerland. As the Champ Car series went
To Colorado!
There's some interesting storylines heading into the race, one of them being the incredibly hectic weekend so far. Crashes and incidents riddled the practice sessions, while rain affected Saturday qualifying. Both a great time on Friday would be last year's Denver winner Bruno Junqueira taking the pole position. After finishing 13th in the past two races, Bruno desperately needed to get a good result. It certainly helped his case that Paul Tracy was having a rough weekend up to this point. He was on track to take the pole but spun on his qualifying lap, relegating him down to a 9th place start. Weather was also a talking point as well, with on and off rain tinkling the weekend, the rain threat continuing for the race, and heavily overcast skies before the start. There was also the TMZ story that I promised in the Montreal video last week. PK Racing now had their 4th driver this season. The departure of Max Papis, which seemed to be on the horizon after his car didn't even have his name on it in Montreal, had now come just 2 days after the race. Max Papis was now out at PK Racing, and fellow former F1 driver Mika Salo was now in the seat for the remainder of the season. Joining Bruno Junqueira on the front row would be Oriol Servia. Jeff Boss would be your 19th and last place starter. Before we get into the race, allow me if you would to play a clip of former member of the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band Jimmy Ibbotson playing possibly the worst rendition of the national anthem I've ever heard in the 19 years I've been on this planet.
Arms early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright star through the perilous fight.
With that ear-shattering experience out of the way, we can get to the start of the race. After the jump start of the century from Oriol Servia, the first attempt at a start would be waved off. At least the race officials finally learned their lesson not to wave the green flag with a jump start. It took them long enough. Take 2 this time around, and for some reason Servia didn't let Junqueira back by, the field didn't line up, and the second attempt was waved off. But on take 3, the field finally got their act together. The green flag would fly, and with an even keel start, it was Bruno Junqueira taking the lead, and Paul Tracy making up some places. But while that was going on, there was some drama farther in the back, as Rodolfo Levin was in the barriers in turn 5. Levin was a wrecking ball to both Hernandez competition drivers, as he went for a kamikaze dive on Mario Dominguez, then slammed into Roberto Moreno. Levin would be out of the race, and the yellow was back out. After the car was retrieved, the race would be restarted on lap 7, with the only action being the Forsyth duo of Carpentier and Tracy clawing for position. Up towards the front, Junqueira was slowly pulling away from Servia. But besides that, this race was so boring that I was beginning to wish that my COVID fever hallucinations would come back. The first series of pit stops came on lap 32, and with an excellent stop, Oriol Servia would take the lead from Bruno Junqueira. It was obvious that Servia short-filled, but at a track where passing is about as tricky as picking up a lubed-up 10-pound block of iron with chopsticks, it wasn't a bad strategy. Around the same time, Walter Salas ground to a halt on track with gearbox issues. I believe that's the first time we've mentioned him in the series since Mid-Ohio, and I also believe it will be the last time we mention him in the series until 2024. The safety crews would get his car out of the way in due time, avoiding a yellow. And now, a message from our sponsor.
Welcome back to Denver, where the grassroots movement is afoot to elect Thomas Kendallschlong governor of California. Now, what about this equal time issue, Thomas?
Well, as you know, when you're a candidate, all the candidates are promised equal time, which would mean, with My Time on Speed Channel, it'd be like 5 hours a week for all the other guys. But it might have been a blessing to not get our paperwork in on time, because what we're going to do is we're not officially in the race. We're going to get our word and our ideas out there. I talked to Bill Clinton. He says what's most important is get out there and press the flesh. So I've been out there this weekend doing that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do a recall on the recall, kind of a reach around sort of move to try to bring this full circle.
I like your choices of flesh to press.
Well, I mean, it worked for Bill.
Yeah. At least you don't have to tell the truth. Oh no, you're Thomas Kendallschlong.
New ideas rooted in love.
Just about nothing happened until lap 60 when Patrick Carpentier crashed in turn 1, brought the yellow out, and sent the field into the pits. Unlike the last round of stops where Servia short-filled and gained spots, he had a long stop this time around and it dropped him to 3rd, giving Junqueira the lead again. Meanwhile, there was a scuffle with Jimmy Vasser and Paul Tracy, as Vasser was exiting his box right as Tracy entered his, resulting in Vasser stalling and Tracy hitting one of his pit guys. The race would be restarted on lap 65, and the attention was on Tracy, who made a mistake and fell back. Shortly after After this, all hell began to break loose. Mario Dominguez went for a dive on Mario Haberfeld, giving Haberfeld a puncture and spinning Dominguez around. In trying to get spun in the right direction, Dominguez nearly hit Michel Jourdain Jr. Dominguez was stealing the show at this stage, going for an unsuccessful yet still exciting to watch dive on Darren Manning. On lap 78, the mild chaos continued as Roberto Moreno hit the wall. As a Cruz recovered his car and a guy fell out of the tow truck, the field came down pit road. It was a good stop for Junqueira, who maintained the lead, a great stop for Tracy, who jumped to 4th, and a terrible stop for Ryan Hunter-Reay, who pulled away with the fuel hose attached, breaking the fuel hose and starting a pit fire. Mika Salo, meanwhile, had a terrible at-lap, as not only did he go over the white line on pit exit, but he crashed shortly afterward. Ryan Hunter-Reay would be out of the race while Mika Salo would get back rolling. The restart came on lap 85, with the chaos continuing in the back. The new scuffle was between Tiago Montero and Mika Salo, with the both of them damaging their suspension and taking themselves out of the race. Outside of this incident, the final stages were just as boring as the rest. After leading 76 laps on the day, Bruno Junqueira would cross the line to win the 2003 Grand Prix of Denver, closing to within 18 points of Tracy. Sebastian Bourdais would finish in second, completing a Newman Haas 1-2, while Oriol Servio would complete the podium in third. Paul Tracy would finish in fourth. Jeff Boss would come home in 11th to be the last of the drivers to take the checkered flag, doing so 5 laps down. I've probably said this 18 million times in the series already, but that race wasn't good. One realization that I did make while writing this video is that outside of St. Pete, Brands Hatch, Lausitz, and maybe Montreal, I doubt I would have covered any races from this season if it weren't for this series. Also, I mentioned how I was looking forward to this video. Well, that's because this video is being released on December 20th, my 19th birthday. I remember being excited when I turned 10 because someone once told me I was allowed to swear when I hit double digits, but now I'm an adult and 366 days away from my 20s, so thank you all for watching and have a great afternoon. You thought I was gonna say fuck there, did you?